Starting the morning off then. I've been out for a run, just come back literally 5 minutes ago. I'm going to go up the roof and get some sun because I'm deprived of tan, to be honest, for living in Bangkok. So, oh, I need to tuck you out there again. Yep, so I'm going to go up the roof, get a tan in, try and get some cooking on the go. And just before I head up there, mainly just so I can get the meal in early as possible, I'm just going to have some yogurt to replenish the run that I've just done and the salt, and so we don't dehydrate like we did a couple of weeks ago. I'm just going for a simple one today, 1 banana and some oats with 250 grams of yogurt and supplements and creatine as of yesterday. What do you reckon? Definitely filling back out a little bit. Push chested yesterday, which I didn't record, which I thought I would do, but anyway. So it's very important to remember, and even I have to remind myself this, you just see me writing there, and I was actually going through and reaffirming some things that I've been thinking about. And it's not necessarily the manifestation things that I like to talk about in my diary. It's more to reiterate that I know that I can do it and to just give myself that boost, almost like I'm having a conversation with someone else, and that someone else is already me. And I'm telling myself, look, you've already got the answers. You already know what you need to do. It's just doing it. And even I need to improve on this. So you know what you've got to do. You know what's going to push the needle forward. And that is the sole thing that you should really be doing. To avoid the quick fun, scrolling, spending time aimlessly, doing things that aren't going to add to your mission. You know, creating tasks for yourself that might feel productive, like cleaning out the drawers when they don't need doing, just to do something so you feel like you're creative and you're sort of putting yourself out there. But really, it should just be those things that you find the least enjoyment with that are going to put you down the road the furthest. That's a better shot. It was a bit bright from the old window there on the back end. So you might have been watching for a couple of days now, or this might be the first time you're watching the Back to Britain bulk. And so far, so good. We're getting after it. But there's some more in the tank, I can tell, which is a good thing. But we need to make the most of it. And really putting myself to the test. This morning I went out for a run. I basically run to a place called Bencher Kitty Park. There's a ab and calisthenics sort of a jungle gym there. I blasted 100 ab rollers and then ran back. Went up to the roof, did a bit of tanning, and between my run and my tanning session, don't know if you can see that, I'm a bit cooked. So we took it a little bit too far on the tanning. So what I'm going to do is just take it easy, make sure we get those nutrients on the skin, stay moisturised, and continue to build up the tan. So when we go back to the UK, we're not going to be super pale, and people are actually going to know that I've been away. But it's also because there won't be any sun back in the UK, and I'm going to have to keep up with the darkness. I'm going to have to keep the darkness up because I've actually got used to staying fairly dark. Obviously when I was back in the UK, you'd get tanned in the summer, but I'm significantly darker now all year round because I'm always in the sun. But the sun has been sort of pretty scarce the last couple of weeks and the last 2 months or so because it has been the rainy season. There is still sunlight, but it's just brief, although it still is like 30 degrees every day. It's crazy and quite humid. But it's been good for my cardio, it's going to be good for my training. I can healthily estimate when I go back, then my cardio is going to be strong because it's going to be cold and I'm going to be used to training in the heat. So I'm going to be at an advantage for a while. So that'll be good. And I've got a few challenges that I want to do when I'm back. But if you're new to the channel, you might actually be wondering, Nathan, how the hell do you make money? How on earth do you make money in Thailand? And what I'm about to do after I get this video scheduled for you guys is jump on and do some dials. I work for a company that helps businesses grow, and I do the sales for them, and I take commission from helping people find the right kind of coaching and mentorship to help grow their business from 6 to 7 or 7 to 8 figures. And I get a lot of fulfillment from this because I'm learning the sales, art of sales and communication and negotiation and being presentable, and continue to build on all the things that I learned in my management role, and also helping people in something that I'm actually interested in, business. I've always been interested in business. I've never owned my own business, and I still don't. And it is something that I do want to do for the rest of my life, I think. Just be inside the game and play that. But I'm happy at the moment. Not happy is the wrong word, but I am learning. And that's all I really look to do, is just to continue to learn. I have to remind myself, look, I'm still fairly young. I'm in my 20s. I've got a lot of time to work and a lot of time to learn before I get to that sort of midlife flourishment. Because there's this concept, I talked about it in a podcast, and I picked this up from a guy called Kevin Samuels, who's an image coach who unfortunately passed away, and a guy called Chris Sturmey, First Man, if you know him. And they talk about, as a man gets older, his life actually gets better. And in fact, the 20s and the 30s are just for building. And as long as you stay in the game and you play, you get your 10,000 hours in the gym, you get your 10,000 hours on the desk, and you get your 10,000 hours in all of the right places. You get your mastery, and that's when the things really start to come around and pay the dividend. Pardon me. That's when they come around to pay the dividends. So what can you take from that? It's the fact that no matter where you're at the minute, you know, I think his name's Ramsey or something. This Ramsey guy that does business and finance advice, and people call him up and they say they're in $50,000 of debt and they're 28 or whatever, and they turn it around, and by 35 they've got a big house and a load of money saved up because they allocated themselves correctly. So it can all turn around. It can be the night can be dark and things can seem pretty bad. But if you stick in the game and you play for long enough and you put yourself in the right position and you speak to the right people correctly and you ask for the right piece of advice, after a long enough time frame, you're going to get closer to where you want to be. You're never going to arrive. It's one thing I put on my story the other day, and also the video yesterday, is you're never going to truly arrive. You're always going to be working towards an idea of where you want to be. But as long as you are pursuing and continuing to progress down the line in the pursuits that you want, you're going to be much better off in the long run. And even incremental gains over a long distance, a long time, you know, it might not seem like a lot, but when you look back, if I look back 4 or 5 years ago, you know, I was in a completely different position. So you've just got to be grateful for where you're at, even if you feel like you're in the trenches right now.